I welcome you all to my channel, True Darkness, where we unleash nothing but true darkness, with content from the worldwide internet. And today, our episode is about a 25-year-old woman named Skydaja Patterson, who allegedly KI'd her own mother. Yes, you heard me, KI'd her own mother. So please like and subscribe. It's a new channel. I want to grow. We can grow together. No more delay. Let's go.
46-year-old woman who was found dead in her Westchester Avenue apartment on Monday is remembering her tonight.
We've got some breaking news now out of Melrose. Police say they've arrested Skydaja Patterson for the murder of Selma McLean. Family sources have previously identified Skydaja as the victim's daughter.
Murdering your own mother. The concept seems out of question, even unbearable to think of. Could you ever think of doing it? Y'all probably are thinking, absolutely not. Well, in today's case, we are talking about a daughter who did exactly that. And not only did she murder her mother, she did it in a truly gruesome manner.
Investigators say that victim was found dead in her Westchester Avenue apartment with injuries to her face and head this past Monday.
This is the case of Skydaja Patterson, who mercilessly beat her mother to death with a cooking pot.
And police officers found McLean on her living room floor here at 720 Westchester Avenue just after 3:30 this morning. That's also when they took the 26-year-old woman into custody.
Prepare yourself, for this case will truly give y'all the chills. On Monday, the 25th of March, 2024, a 911 call came in alerting the police of a murder that had just taken place inside a Bronx apartment in New York. The caller was from no other than Skydaja Patterson herself, admitting to the heinous act that she just committed. My mom, said Skydaja Patterson to the cops, confessing her guilt. When the dispatcher picked up the phone, you could only imagine the thoughts going through their head. Maybe it was a prank, or a silly dare from Skydaja's friends? After all, 911 dispatchers often get hundreds of fake calls. Unfortunately, this was not the case. Skydaja was telling the truth, and what happened is truly brutal. On the other end of the phone, Skydaja's mother was lying beside her, beaten to the point of death, and Skydaja was still gripping onto a murder weapon that was smeared with her mother's blood. Quickly after Skydaja called, the authorities quickly made their way to the scene where they found Selma McLean, Skydaja's mother, unconscious and unresponsive with trauma to her face and head. In the flat, only Skydaja and her mother were found, with no other witnesses. Soon after, Selma was pronounced dead at the scene. Soon after, family members confirmed the body as Selma, as well as Skydaja, the perpetrator, as her very own daughter. It was also reported by the cops that when they arrived at the apartment in the Bronx, Skydaja was found still clutching the covered pot, and after questioning, she instantly admitted to using the kitchenware to hit her mother on the back of her head, knocking her unconscious. Skydaja appeared to be in a state of shock at what she had just done. You could only imagine the overpowering guilt that Skydaja felt, looking down at her mother dead on the floor after she had just viciously murdered her. The thought is unbearable, and something that most of us would think would never happen to us. Nevertheless, for Skydaja Patterson, this horrible event came true. The fact that Skydaja seemed to realize what terrible act she had done makes this case even more creepy. If she hadn't, surely wouldn't have reported herself to the police, right? The thought of how she must have felt when she realized what she had done really gives you goosebumps. Skydaja did seem to be a good person too. From an outsider's perspective, she seemed timid, shy, and altogether a sensible girl. Skydaja had a family who loved her, friends, a boyfriend. You would never think that she would be the type of person to kill someone. I mean, usually murderers have that certain look about them, or a certain way they behave. Even if it's just creepy eyes, you see it coming. Think back to Jeffrey Dahmer. He definitely had the look. However, How are we to know if Scadea's admission of guilt was genuine? The way that Selma was murdered was so brutal and ruthless, it almost seems impossible that it could have been committed without pure intent. To murder her mother, Sky Daja would have had to strike her with the weapon relentlessly and with brute force. Could that really have been achieved by someone who didn't really want to commit murder?
In the early hours of Monday morning, police found McLean dead on her living room floor here at 720 Westchester Avenue.
Initially, the details of the murder were kept under wraps, but when the truth came out, it was worse than anyone could have possibly predicted. The news of the murder sent shockwaves through the Bronx neighborhood, which will likely never be the same.
This is just a very sad story. Police have just released the identity of the 46-year-old victim, and police took into custody a 26-year-old woman. They have not released her identity yet.
Skedaya's mother, Selma McLean, showed nothing but devotion and love for her 3 daughters. She played an active role in Skedaya's upbringing and never failed to show up for all of the key events in Skedaya's life. Throughout her family and friends, Selma was renowned for her dedication to Skedaja, attending every single one of her events, basketball games, cooking delicious food every day, partaking in all of her school activities, and overall providing the best life she possibly could for her daughter.
Get that ball, Jay! Good try, Jay!
Skydaya was an aspiring basketball player, and her mother didn't hesitate in supporting her with her dreams. It seemed that this dream was becoming a reality for Skydaja too. In 2019, she was named the Spalding National Junior College Athletic Association Division III Women's Basketball Player of the Year, and she even won MVP honors after her basketball team won the championships. In a tribute to her basketball success, Skydaja was even quoted on the organization's website, saying, "This award means a lot to me because the journey wasn't easy." As she received the honor, everything was seemingly falling into place for Skydaja. Only 26 years old, she had her whole life ahead of her, with her mother by her side as her #1 supporter. Selma clearly loved her daughter to the ends of the earth, but little did Selma know, her daughter would soon murder her in one of the most terrifying ways imaginable.
Now, this is footage of Skydaja Patterson when News 12 interviewed her as part of the Hostos Community College basketball team years ago. Right now, police say Patterson is charged with murder and manslaughter.
Amongst all of this, it makes you wonder, why would Skedaja murder her mother? What possibly could have been her cause? I mean, your mother is someone that you love the most, right? They bring you into this life. They nurture you as you grow. They're always there for you throughout your hardest times. What would ever possess someone to one of the most cherished and sacred people in their lives? Well, it was soon revealed that something else was going on behind the scenes that led Skydaja to commit murder.
According to several close family members, the 26-year-old was McLean's daughter who lived with her here. They told me she had been suffering from severe mental health episodes and had recently been released from a mental health facility.
After the murder had taken place, Selma's goddaughter, Danaea Reynolds, gave an interview to the Post, which unearthed many of the skeletons that lurked within Skydaja's closet. According to Danaea, she had been with Selma and Skydaja just 2 hours before the murder happened. The whole family had been on a trip to Connecticut, whereby they all went to church and then to dinner at one of Selma's daughter's homes. The day seemed to go well, with nothing out of the ordinary. After they returned back to the Bronx safely at 1 a.m., Danaea left their apartment thinking everything was okay. She couldn't have been more wrong. After Danaea arrived back home, events took a turn for the worse. Soon after leaving Selma and Skydaja at their apartment, Danaea revealed that Selma began sending her panicked texts, which would turn out to be moments before the disaster happened. Unbeknownst to Danaea, these would be the last texts that she would ever receive from Selma. Danaea said, "She did text me that night that Sky was hearing voices. She said that it was like another person popped out of Sky. She was trying to calm her daughter down. That was like the little back and forth between them, and that was the last text I received from my godmother." Not only this, Selma also texted Danaea that Skydaya started speaking in a man's voice, and that the voices that Skydaya heard were telling her that Selma was dangerous. Unfortunately, Selma's text messages were too little, too late. Moments after, Skydaya made the disturbing call to 911, where she admitted to beating her mother senselessly to death. Listening to these events, it just doesn't seem possible that Skydaya could do something so gruesome. I mean, speak in a man's voice? It doesn't make sense. Check this picture of Skydaya. Doesn't she look innocent? Hearing voices, speaking in a voice that isn't hers, it wouldn't be ridiculous to theorize that there could be something evil at play. Could Skydaya have been possessed? It wouldn't be the first time possession was claimed in a murder case. If any of y'all have seen the third Conjuring movie, you'll know what we're talking about. The symptoms of possession are listed as loss of awareness of surroundings, loss of personal identity, inability to distinguish reality from fantasy, change in tone of voice. Doesn't this sound familiar? Maybe this is a short in the dark, but who knows? It's definitely creepy to think about. The morning after, Danaea learned of the terrible news from one of her friends that Selma was dead. In a state of panic and disbelief, Danaea rushed to the apartment, but in a sad twist of fate, when she arrived, the deed was already done. When Danaea walked into the house, what she found was beyond her worst nightmares. In an eerie recollection, Danaea depicted the moment saying, "There were cops in front of the building, in front of the apartment. The door was open, and when I looked inside, the shoe rack was knocked down. Things were on the ground. I looked in, and I could see blood on the couch. They say it was too late to resuscitate her. I opened the door, and just saw blood." Danaea said that she knew that Skydaya hadn't been usual self. A few months before in August, Skydaya had tragically lost a baby boy to stillbirth, an event which she had never recovered from. She didn't properly heal from it, Danaea claimed. She just wanted to be over it and be out and everything to be fine, and she just kind of went forward like that. She was worrying about the breakup with the baby's father. Previously, Skydaya had been planning to return to school and complete a master's degree following her graduation from Lincoln University, Pennsylvania in 2022 with a bachelor's degree in business. However, her plans drew to a halt when she became unexpectedly pregnant. After this happened, her mental health began to rapidly decline, and when she lost the baby to stillbirth, her struggles only grew worse. Seemingly, the loss of her baby was the trigger in sending Skydaya over the edge and ultimately played a huge part in her downward spiral. Roshana Whitted, a close friend of Selma, also came forward to talk about Skydaya's stillbirth, saying, "She was due in September 2023, and the baby boy was stillborn. It happened in July or August. She never really dealt with it, and her mental health spiraled. Experiencing a stillbirth is traumatic, and enough to send anyone spiraling. In fact, there are many studies on the impact of experiencing such a huge hit to your body, both mentally and physically. Postpartum psychosis is a term used to describe the serious mental illness that some women suffer with after giving birth. The symptoms are described as affecting a person's sense of reality, causing hallucinations, delusions, paranoia, or other behavior changes. Could it be that this is what Skydaya was unknowingly suffering from that made her kill her mother? In severe cases, individuals suffering with this disorder are known to harm themselves or their newborn. Maybe this is what happened to Skydaya, but instead of hurting herself, she hurt her mother. Leading up to the murder, Roshana wasn't the only friend that noticed changes in Skydaya. Just the Saturday before, Skydaya's sister, Danaea, and two of their friends spent the day together. According to Danaea, Skydaya's behavior was so peculiar that it prompted two of the girls to drive to Skydaya's Bronx apartment on the night of the murder to make sure that Skydaya wasn't left by herself. when her mother left for work. When the murder took place, 2 of the girls were almost arriving at the apartment. Now, Danaea is left with the painful sting of having not come to Selma's aid fast enough. In her interview, she recalled the sad moment she last spoke to Skydaja, saying, "When I was leaving, Sky told me that she loved me. She asked if she could get a hug, and that was the last time I spoke to Skydaja in person." It wasn't long after this final conversation that Selma was savagely killed. Further revelations from Danaea unveiled that this wasn't the first time that Skydaja had become violent either. In fact, Selma had reached out to the police on 2 prior occasions, claiming that her daughter was attacking her. Allegedly, one of these attacks happened a mere month prior to the murder, where Skydaja had attempted to attack her mother with knives. "It was with knives that time," Danaea said as she recalled the event. "The demons, the voices in her head were telling her, 'Your mom is out to get you. Your mom is a bad person. Watch out for her.'" Danaea eventually revealed that Skydaja had just been released from a psych ward less than a week before the murder. She called the cops on herself, Danaea said. She spent 2 weeks in the psych ward, and she came out last Tuesday. A recent law enforcement source also came forward to say that Skydaja had a domestic incident report in October 2022 with her mom as the victim. Clearly, Skydaja had been struggling with her mental health for a long time and was giving every attempt to get better and seek help. Unfortunately, these efforts failed to succeed. Besides Skydaja's personal struggles, could there have been anything else that made her decide to murder her mother and destroy her own life? After all, if it wasn't the first time that Skydaja attacked her mother, could it have been on purpose? Maybe we'll find out later on. Whilst none of Skydaja's family, as of yet, seem to think she purposely killed Selma, you can't deny that there are areas of suspicion. From her noticeably strange behavior to her repeated attacks on her mother, there's clearly a pattern. Whether it was intentional, a cause of her mental state, or simply an accident, whatever caused Skydaja to commit murder seems like the makings of something dark.
We spoke to another woman here at the scene who says she is McLean's other daughter. The first woman I spoke to said that the 26-year-old who is now into police custody had been going through a very difficult time. She also said that McLean had sent her a text last night saying her daughter was hearing voices and had threatened her.
It really makes you wonder, what if the ward had released Skydaja a week later? What if Danaea had reached the apartment just a minute sooner? Maybe the murder wouldn't have happened. Or perhaps, was it always doomed to occur? After all, Skydaja's history shows that this wasn't the first time she had attacked her mother. Maybe that night, Selma thought that it would be like any other of the times, and Skydaja would eventually calm down. Sadly, this was not the case.
Her daughter to death, literally. And it was they didn't have no bad blood with each other. This was a simple mental health crisis.
The evening after Selma's death, it was reported by neighbors that one of her other daughters turned up to the apartment in a state of distress. "Jaida, my mom, my sister, her. Last night she killed her with a frying pan. I need my inhaler, it's inside. I can't breathe, God damn it, let me in." Ross Medina, who saw the scene unfold, was a close neighbor who lived across the hall from Selma for 14 years and described the family as very quiet. When the murder ensued, he was completely unaware that a few doors down, a senseless was underway. "Her other daughter tells me that her sister killed mom with a frying pan," Medina said. "She did this last night. It is so sad. She was such a nice lady." The grief that Selma's sisters must be going through is tragic to think of. I mean, imagine your own sister, your mother. You wouldn't know what to do, what to think, who to be angry at. Skydaja clearly didn't know her own mind. It begs the question, how do we know that this couldn't happen to any of us? Maybe we all have something within us waiting to attack. Who knows?
Everyone here said that the mother and daughter loved each other, and they really stressed the importance of taking mental health seriously.
If you're going through some type of trauma, you're going through something mentally, physically, if you're overthinking yourself to death about something, go get some help. Go confide in somebody. Even if you guys are on bad terms, because you just never know. You never know what can happen.
I just feel
We're going to pause for just a second. If you could hit that like button and subscribe, it'll really, really help me out. It's a new channel. I want it to grow. I want us to grow together. Okay, let's go.
her daughter to death, literally. And it was they didn't have no bad blood with each other. This was a simple mental health crisis.
The evening after Selma's death, it was reported by neighbors that one of her other daughters turned up to the apartment in a state of distress. Jaida, my mom, my sister, her. Last night she killed her with a frying pan. I need my inhaler, it's inside. I can't breathe, God damn it, let me in. Ross Medina, who saw the scene unfold, was a close neighbor who lived across the hall from Selma for 14 years and described the family as very quiet. When the murder ensued, he was completely unaware that a few doors down, a senseless was underway. Her other daughter tells me that her sister killed her mom with a frying pan, Medina said. She did this last night. It is so sad. She was such a nice lady. The grief that Selma's sisters must be going through is tragic to think of. I mean, imagine your own sister, your mother. You wouldn't know what to do, what to think, who to be angry at. Skydaja clearly didn't know her own mind. It begs the question, how do we know that this couldn't happen to any of us? Maybe we all have something within us waiting to attack. Who knows?
Everyone here said that the mother and daughter loved each other, and they really stressed the importance of taking mental health seriously.
If you're going through some type of trauma, you're going through something mentally, physically, if you're overthinking yourself to death about something, go get some help. Go confide in somebody. Even if you guys are on bad terms, because you just never know. You never know what can happen.
I just feel like everybody should take mental health serious enough. And I feel like, that's one thing that people shouldn't turn down. Sorry.
Danaya, still remaining loyal to her family, insists that she is going to support Skydaja, regardless of what happened, saying, I am going to be at court for every court date Skydaja has. That's my sister. I don't want her to feel like she's alone. It's hard to imagine forgiving a family member for committing such a heinous crime. Danaya's life, as well as Skydaja's sisters, will never be the same. When Skydaja's mother, it was an act which would change the course of their lives forever. Nevertheless, it seems that Danaya has faith in her Skydaja.
Incredibly difficult week for the family and friends of Selma McLean. Many of the people here knew her as Jada. They say they will remember her for her kindness and her delicious cooking.
Curry chicken, let's do chicken, the food, period. She was always there for her daughter. She supported her through whatever.
She pushed everybody to do better in their life, even if it was, a crisis or something simple. She just gave everybody love.
Selma was evidently loved by all the people that knew her. After her tragic death, many of her friends and family came forward to sing her praise in honor of her memory. Selma was known for being strong, wise, independent, and kind, as well as beautiful inside and out. She was clearly an inspiration to her family and peers, with 3 beautiful daughters and many loyal friends. When Selma returned home from their family trip to Connecticut, she had no idea of the fate that was awaiting her. If only Selma had taken more head from Skydaja's past attacks, maybe it would have never happened. Still, it seemed that it was not in her nature to give up on her daughter. Regardless of all Skydaja's past struggles, Selma, beyond doubt, remained steadfast in support of her daughter. Amongst all the trouble that the mother and daughter went through, Selma stayed loyal. Whilst it's true that it's a natural motherly instinct to protect your baby, Selma went above and beyond. Rashana, she loved her daughter, Rashana said, talking about Selma and Skydaja's relationship. There wasn't a thing she wouldn't do for her daughter. Sometimes they have their little quarrels, but that was it. They were inseparable. Her daughter was her whole life. Tragically, her unwavering loyalty led to her untimely death. As they say, love is blind, and this was at Selma's detriment. In light of Selma's tragic death, all of her loved ones, as well as many of the people that knew and cared for her, joined in unison for a gathering in remembrance of her life. In the effort to remember her as more than just a woman who was brutally murdered, they all came together to honor her as the gentle, kind, and genuine woman that she was. Although the truth is, Selma's brutal murder will never be forgotten. The case is undeniably creepy and shows the dark side of human nature. After all, looking at Sky Daja, you would never think of her as capable of such a terrifying murder. If someone would have told her years before that she would be the one to murder her own mother, surely Sky Daja would have never believed it, right? Or maybe she would have. Did she really want to kill her mother? Or was it an accident? Maybe we'll never know for sure. Since Sky Daja was taken in by the police, she has been arrested and charged with her mother's death. She faces charges of murder and manslaughter, but the case remains ongoing. These charges combined, Sky Daja will be facing a life sentence. Only Sky Daja and Selma know what really went down between them that night. In the 2 hours after Danaya left the apartment, who knows what happened? Did they argue? Was it a random attack? The police stated that the mother's injuries were on the back of her head. Did Sky Daja attack Selma from behind when wasn't expecting it? Hey, we've all had arguments with our mothers. But what Sky Daja did? It's absolutely crazy. For a supposedly innocent girl to be able to thrash her mother to death, surely something must have happened to provoke her. Or at the very least, there must have been something seriously wrong at play. What do y'all think? Is this sentence deserved? Should Sky Daja ever get out of prison? Let us know in the comments.